More water, sir? She asked, the kind of question you ignore in a five-star joint, unless you saw his COO's laptop. Gregory left it open. Idiot. Mia knew what that cascading red code meant. Project Meridian. Collapsing. He'd barked for someone smarter. Ha! Smarter was here serving him Peria. The arrogance. Billionaire Warren Coleman thought he was losing everything to a tech glitch. He had no clue it was retribution. Sweet, perfectly coded retribution. It wasn't a hack. It was a blood feud, years in the making. And she knew exactly how to twist the knife. But that kindness, that quiet offer to help, they have no idea how her quiet kindness will change everything. He snarled, his face purple. Get out, all of you, and bring me someone smarter. As they scrambled, the door opened. But it wasn't a new executive. It was just the waitress. More water, sir? She asked, her voice quiet. And in that moment, the fate of his billion-dollar empire shifted on its axis. The Gilded Perch was a restaurant that existed on a plane of reality separate from the rest of New York City. It was perched 50 floors above Midtown, a silent sanctuary of plush carpets, hushed tones, and $500 bottles of wine. For its clientele, it was a fortress of solitude. Tonight, for Warren Coleman, it was a cage. He wasn't eating. The seared foie gras with a balsamic reduction sat cold and untouched. Opposite him, his executive team, Gregory Pike, Chief Operations, Brenda Nash, Chief Financial, and Tom Kessler, Legal Counsel, looked like passengers on a crashing plane. Say it again, Gregory. Warren's voice was dangerously low, a rumble that promised an earthquake. Gregory, a man who usually commanded boardrooms, physically flinched. He adjusted his tie. Sir, the routing algorithm for Project Meridian, it's corrupted. The entire automated fleet in the Western Corridor, from Seattle to San Diego, is routing to one distribution hub in Reno. One hub, Warren repeated, his voice devoid of emotion. It's creating a catastrophic bottleneck, Brenda cut in, her voice strained. The system is reading a priority one override. But we can't find the source. We're hemorrhaging. Every minute this continues. We're not just losing shipping contracts. Mr. Coleman, our main competitor, Apex Logistics, is already poaching our clients. We're looking at an insolvency event by morning. The word hung in the air, insolvency. Warren Coleman, founder and CEO of Coleman Dynamics, a self-made titan who had clawed his way from a shipping dock to a skyscraper, did not do insolvency. He slowly, deliberately picked up his solid silver fork. He looked at it. Then, with clear his throat, a sudden violent roar, he hurled it against the far wall, where it clattered uselessly onto the carpet. Insolventi, he bellowed, surging to his feet. The entire hushed restaurant floor went silent. Diners at other tables froze, terrified. You three, you, with your Ivy League degrees and your seven-figure bonuses? You let this happen? You let some hacker bring my company to its knees in one night? We don't think it's a random hacker, sir. Tom Kessler, the lawyer, offered weakly. The firewall hasn't been breached. The attack seems to be coming from inside the code itself. Then fix the code, Warren roared, his face turning a deep, dangerous shade of crimson. I pay you a combined $10 million a year to fix things. We can't, Gregory whispered. And it was that whisper that broke Warren. We can't find the kill switch. It's not behaving like any code we've ever seen. It's almost organic. Warren stared at his COO, his eyes narrowing to pinpricks. I built an empire out of nothing. I built it by never ever accepting we can't. You have 30 minutes to find a solution or all of you are fired. Do you understand me? Your careers, your houses, your children's private schools gone. He paced the room like a trapped lion. Now get out of my sight. Go. Go work and don't come back until you're finished. The three executives, humiliated and terrified, gathered their laptops and files and practically ran from the private room, their faces ashen. Warren stood alone, breathing heavily, his chest tight. He ripped his tie off and threw it on the table. He was losing. He never clears throat, lost. Just get me someone. Anyone smarter, he yelled at the empty doorway. Bring me someone smarter. The door clicked open. Warren spun around, ready to unleash another volley of fury. But it wasn't Gregory. It wasn't Brenda. It was the waitress. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes and hair pulled back in a simple, severe bun. Her name tag read Mia. She held a silver water pitcher in one hand. "More water, sir?" Mia Sutton asked, her voice a quiet island in his ocean of rage. Warren just stared at her, his fury so potent it had no words. He was about to tell her to get out, to vanish, when she did something unexpected. Her eyes weren't on him. They were on the laptop Gregory had left behind in his haste. Its screen was still active, displaying lines and lines of cascading red error logs. Mia tilted her head just slightly. Her eyes scanned the screen, not with idle curiosity, but with a sharp, piercing focus. "Sir," she said, her voice still quiet, but suddenly infused with a strange authority. "You don't need someone smarter." She set the water pitcher down on the sideboard. "You need someone who's angry." Warren's rage evaporated, replaced by stunned confusion. "What? What did you just say to me?" Mia pointed a finger at Gregory's screen. "That's not a hack and it's not a bug. It's a Hydra sequence, and it's not meant to break your system. It's meant to punish it." Warren Coleman didn't get to where he was by being stupid. He was arrogant. He was brutal. But he could spot a deviation in the pattern. And this, a waitress in a $20 uniform, diagnosing his multi-billion-dollar crisis in a way his entire IT department hadn't, was the deviation of a lifetime. He didn't yell. He just pointed. "Sit. Mia." Sutton looked at the chair, still warm from the terrified Gregory Pike. She looked at Warren. She didn't move. "I'll be fired. You're already fired if you walk out that door." Warren counted, his voice a low growl. "You're hired if you sit down and tell me what a Hydra sequence is. You have 60 seconds. Mia made the calculation. She sat. She didn't look comfortable. She looked like a scientist who had just been handed a contaminated sample. "I'm Mia Sutton," clears throat, she said, as if for the record. I was a doctoral candidate at the Volkoff Institute for Systemic Risk at MIT. My specialization was predictive modeling and network vulnerabilities, specifically the work of Dr. Eris Vulov. Warren's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. He knew that name. Clears throat. "Vulov. We tried to hire him. He wouldn't even take my call. He's an idealist. He doesn't care about money." Mia Clear's throat said, a flicker of old warmth in her voice, he built the base architecture for systemic protest. He theorized that as AI networks became more complex, they would need a way to rebel against unethical or illogical commands, a digital immune system. She pointed back at the laptop. "That's it. That's Volov's," Clear's throat work. "The Hydra sequence. It's not a virus. It's a feature. You cut off one head, one process, and two more spring up in its place, but they spring up wrong. They create chaos. Your team is trying to kill the processes, right? They're trying to patch the errors one by one." "They are," Warren said, his mind racing. "And it's getting worse," Gregory said. "The cascade is accelerating." "Of course it is," Mia said almost scornfully. "They're making it angrier. The Hydra sequence is designed to protest a fundamental breach of its core protocol. It's not broken. It's defending itself. You're not being hacked from the outside, Mr. Coleman. You're being dismantled from the inside by your own system. The question isn't, how do we stop it? The question is, what did you do to it?" Warren was flawed. He stared at this woman. You were a doctoral candidate. What are you doing serving me?" Mia's face shuddered. The brief spark of academic passion died, replaced by the tired, flat mask of a waitress. "My father got sick," she said, her voice clipped. "His business failed. I had to drop out. Medical bills, debts." She looked at her hands calloused from carrying hot plates. "Life happens now about your problem," Clear's throat. The coldness in her voice when she mentioned her father's failed business struck Warren, but he filed it away. Crisis first. "What did we do?" Warren mused more to himself than to her. "Project Meridian is our revolutionary new logistics AI. We acquired the tech. We bought a startup about a year ago." "Which one?" Mayer asked, her eyes fixed on the screen. "Atlas Logistics," Warren said. A small, brilliant outfit out of Boston. We bought the tech, the patents, and we absorbed the team. Absorbed? Mia repeated. The word sounded ugly in her mouth. You mean you took the code and fired the people? Warren bristled. We made a standard business transaction. We integrated their tech into our superior platform. The founder, he was redundant. He was offered a severance package. Who was he? Mia asked. The founder, the architect, Warren had to think. He prided himself on knowing his acquisitions. But this was small potatoes. Lang. Robert Lang. Something like that. Mia's entire body went rigid. Her face went pale. Robert. Oh no. You know him, Warren demanded. He wasn't just at the Vulov Institute, Mia whispered, her eyes wide with a terrible understanding. He was Aris Vulov's protege. He was the most brilliant coder I ever knew. He and Vulov, they designed the Hydra sequence together. Warren felt a cold dread settle in his stomach, a feeling he hadn't experienced since he was a poor kid on the docks. What does that mean? Mia looked up from the laptop, her eyes meeting his, and for the first time, Warren Coleman saw something other than exhaustion in her gaze. He saw pure, unfiltered intelligence. It means, Mr. Coleman, she said, that your multi-billion-dollar corporation wasn't just acquired. It was booby-trapped. The silence in the room was absolute. Even the distant clink of cutlery from the main dining hall seemed to fade away. Booby-trapped, Warren repeated. He sat down heavily. You're telling me an employee we fired planted a bomb in our system? No, Mia said, shaking her head. You're still thinking like a bully. You're not thinking like an architect. Robert Lang wouldn't plant a bomb. He built a lock. He built his life's work. The Hydra sequence was his and Vulov's signature. It was a work of art. It was meant to ensure the system was never used for purposes that violated its core logic. When you bought Atlas Logistics, what was its motto? Warren waved his hand dismissively. I don't know. Shipping smarter. Something trivial. No, Mia said, her memory clearly pulling up the details. Their motto was logistics with logic, the human root. Robert believed that efficiency should never cost humanity. His algorithm wasn't just about speed, it was about sustainable routes, fair driver hours, minimizing community disruption. He was an idealist. She gestured at the frantic red lines on the laptop. What did you do after you absorbed him? What were the new directives for Project Meridian? Warren's face was grim. Aggressive expansion, undercut competitors, 24/7 autonomous routing. We automated the driver schedules. Reroute through low-income neighborhoods to save on tolls, the usual efficiency upgrades. You perverted his work, Mia stated. You took his human algorithm and you turned it into a weapon for market domination. The system, Robert's system, is rejecting the commands. It sees you as a virus, and the Hydra sequence is the immune response. So, he activated it, Warren demanded. That's illegal. That's corporate terrorism. Kessler will have him in jail by midnight. Will he? Mia asked. You fired him 3 months ago. You said he was redundant. Did you make him sign an exit agreement? Warren's blood ran cold. Brenda Gregory, they handled the termination. I bet they didn't, Mayer said. They probably saw him as a nobody, a redundant coder from a buyout. They handed him a box and showed him the door. They didn't realize they were evicting the only man on Earth who could control the system they just stole. Warren grabbed his phone. Get Pike, Nash, and Kessler back in here now. The 3 executives tumbled back into the room, their faces etched with panic. Sir, the Seattle hub just went dark in Portland. The cascade is moving east. It's accelerating. Forget that, Warren snapped. Miss Sutton, tell them what you told me. Mia, now the clear center of power in the room, spoke. You're fighting a ghost. The system was built by a man named Robert Lang. You took his code. You corrupted its purpose. And now his original protest protocol is dismantling your network from the inside out. Gregory Pike's face was a mask of disbelief. That's impossible. No mid-level coder could do this. He wasn't a mid-level coder, you idiot, Warren roared. He was the founder. He was the architect. Did you get an exit agreement? Did you secure the master keys? Gregory and Brenda exchanged a horrifying silent look. He wasn't considered a key employee, sir, Brenda stammered. He was classified as redundant talent post-acquisition. Yu Warren was speechless with rage. You let the architect walk out the door with the blueprints in the dynamite. It's not dynamite, Mia interrupted, her voice cutting through the panic. It's a puzzle. Robert isn't a terrorist. He's an academic. He's hurt. His life's work was stolen and twisted. He's not trying to destroy you. He's trying to teach you. Teach me, Warren's voice was lethal. He's left a door, Mia said, taking Gregory's laptop and pulling it in front of her. The Hydra sequence isn't just chaos. It's structured chaos. It's a message. He's waiting. Her fingers, which minutes before had been polishing glasses, flew across the keyboard. She wasn't typing code. She was navigating the error logs, scrolling past thousands of lines of red text. What are you doing? Tom Kessler asked nervously. Looking for the signature? Mia murmured. Vulov and Lang, they always signed their work. They embedded a query prompt in the error logs, a digital message in a bottle. She stopped there, buried in line, 74,09198. It wasn't an error. It was a question. Query. Who is the architect? The executive stared at the screen, baffled. It's a password prompt, Gregory said, relieved. Well, type administrator. No, Mia said, it's a riddle, and if we get it wrong, he'll clear his throat, likely have a poison pill protocol that burns the whole system to the ground permanently. What's the answer? Warren asked, his voice tight. Mia looked at the question. Who is the architect? It's not a person, Mia, Clear's throat said, thinking aloud. Robert is proud, but he's not an egomaniac. The architect isn't him. It's the principle, the original idea. She looked at Warren. What was the name of his company, the one you killed? Atlas Logistics, Warren said. Mia nodded. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She typed one word. Atlas. She hit enter. The screen flickered. The cascading red errors stopped. For one beautiful, perfect second, the system was stable. Then a new line of text appeared. Response acknowledged. But he who holds up the world is tired. Second query. What is the price of a stolen soul? Gregory Pike swore. A second riddle? This is insane. We're losing millions by the second. He's right, Mia said, ignoring him. She looked at Warren. This one isn't for me. This one is for you. What does it mean? Warren snapped. It means, Mia said, her voice dropping, that Robert Lang isn't just angry about his code. He's angry about his company. You didn't just acquire him. You stole his soul. He wants restitution, and you're going to have to make him an offer. The air in the private dining room crackled. The game had changed. This wasn't a technical problem anymore. It was a hostage negotiation. Restitution, Warren spat. He wants money. Of course, it's always money. He grabbed his phone. Find Robert Lang. Get me his number. Now I'll pay him. Clear's throat. I'll pay him whatever he wants to undo this. Brenda Nash, the CFO, was already on her own phone, frantically texting her HR department. We have a last known address in Boston, no phone number. He went completely off-grid after his termination. He knew this was coming. Warren seethed. He planned this. He prepared for this, Mia corrected. There's a difference. He built a defense for his life's work, and you walked right into it. It doesn't matter, Warren snapped. Find him. I'll fly to Boston tonight. I'll put a check in his hand. And what will you do, Mr. Coleman? Mayer asked, her gaze steady and challenging. Threaten him? Bully him? You think the man who just brought your $100 billion company to a dead stop is going to be intimidated by you? He holds all the cards. The moment you threaten him, he'll type enter and Coleman Dynamics will be a history lesson. Warren's jaw clenched. She was right. He was powerless, and he hated it. So what do you suggest, Miss Sutton? He growled. You're the expert on idealists. You can't buy him, Mia said. You have to respect him. The answer to the riddle. What is the price of a stolen soul? It's not a number. The answer is, it's priceless. It can't be bought. It can only be returned. What does that mean? Gregory demanded. It means, Mia said, turning to the laptop, we have to offer him something better than money. We have to offer him his soul back. Her fingers typed a response to the query. Offer the return of Atlas. Full autonomy. Public acknowledgement. She hit enter. The screen flashed. Processing. They waited. Every second was an agony. Warren watched the screen, his entire empire hanging on the response of a disgruntled coder. A new message appeared. Response. Words are wind. The architect requires a gesture of faith. You are locked out. I am in control. And then chaos. The laptop screen went black. Then Gregory's phone buzzed. Then Brenda's. Then Tom's. The Chicago hub. Gregory stammered, his face white. It's gone. He's not just stopping the routes. He's wiping the data. He's wiping the manifests. The backups are being corrupted. He's destroying it, Brenda whispered, tears welling in her eyes. It's over. We're over. Warren looked at Mia. You said he wasn't a terrorist. You said he was an idealist. Mia was staring at the blank screen, her mind working furiously. This isn't right. This isn't Robert. This is too destructive. He wouldn't do this. He wouldn't destroy his own work. He's destroying my work, Warren roared. No, he's destroying his, Mia insisted. This is its escalation. Our offer, the return of Atlas. It must have been the wrong answer. You said it was the right answer. Gregory shrieked, his composure shattering. You've just destroyed us. Shut up, Gregory, Warren snapped. He looked at Mia. Think. If that was the wrong answer, what was the right one? Mia was pale, her hands shaking. She had been so sure. A stolen soul. It can't be returned. Maybe. Maybe it's not restitution. Maybe it's justice. Revenge. So he is a terrorist, Tom Kessler yelled. I'm calling the FBI. This is a federal crime. Wait, Warren said. His eyes were locked on Mia. You said this isn't him. What do you mean, Robert Lang? He loved that code, Mia said almost to herself. He talked about it like it was alive. He wouldn't kill it, he'd protect it. This is a scorched earth protocol. This isn't Robert. This is someone else. Someone else? Warren echoed. Who? Suddenly, Mia's head snapped up. She looked at the three executives, Gregory, Brenda, and Tom. They were all staring at their phones, watching their careers disintegrate. The laptop, Mia said, her voice sharp. Gregory, that's your laptop. How did you have the error logs for Project Meridian on it? Your COO. You shouldn't have root access to the code. Gregory froze. He looked at Mia, then at Warren. I have override access for emergencies like this one, Mayer said, her eyes narrowing. But the prompts, Brenda stammered, the Hydra sequence, the riddles. That was Lang, wasn't it? Oh yes, Mia said, a new terrible understanding dawning on her. The Hydra sequence is real. Robert Lang definitely activated it. He put the system into protest mode. He is the one sending the routes to Reno. He's creating a bottleneck. He's hurting you. She paused, then looked at Gregory. But he's not the one destroying the data. You are. The accusation hung in the air, heavier and more toxic than the smoke from 1,000 cigars. Gregory Pike laughed, a short, sharp, terrified bark. That's insane. Why would I destroy the company I work for? Because you were already failing, Warren Coleman said, his voice dropping to an Arctic chill. He was connecting the dots. Project Meridian, the integration. It was your project, Gregory. You've been telling me for 6 months that the margins were incredible, but they weren't, were they? Brenda Nash, the CFO, looked away. Tom Kessler, the lawyer, began to sweat. Brenda. Warren's voice was a stiletto. The numbers, you signed off on them. Gregory said it was just temporary inefficiency. Brenda stamped. He said the new code was just settling in. He said he was optimizing it. Optimizing? Mia repeated. You mean you were the one who perverted the code? You're the one who ordered the system to undercut and root. You're the one who triggered Lang's protocol. You woke the dragon and you've been hiding it for months. Warren advanced on Gregory. The bottleneck in Reno. That wasn't tonight. That's been happening for weeks, hasn't it? A few trucks here, a few lost packages there. You've been covering it up. But tonight, the Hydra sequence finally reached its tipping point. Lang's protest went critical. "Sir," Gregory began. "And when I called you in here," Warren continued, his voice a relentless hammer, "you knew you were caught. You couldn't fix it. Lang's riddle, it was real, but you couldn't let me solve it. You couldn't let me make a deal with Lang, because if Lang came back, he'd take one look at what you'd done at the real books, and he'd expose you." "So, what did you do, Gregory?" Mia asked, her voice filled with dawning horror. When I was typing in the answer, when I offered to return Atlas, Mia looked at the laptop, then at Clear's throat, Gregory's pocket. "A phone. You have a back-end app," Mia whispered. "A kill switch. While we were negotiating with Lang, you activated your own protocol, a scorched earth command. You're not just destroying the data, you're erasing the evidence." Gregory's face crumpled. He was caught. He was going to ruin me," Gregory shouted, his facade of an executive crumbling to reveal the terrified, cornered man beneath. "Coleman, you have no idea. The acquisition was a mess. Lang's code was ethical. It was slow. It was full of safeguards. We couldn't make the profit margins you demanded. So I had my own team, a private team in Mumbai, streamline it. We ripped Lang's safeguards," Clear's throat out. You lobotomized it," Mayer said, disgusted. "And Lang's Hydra code saw me as the virus," Gregory said, shaking. "It's been fighting me for 6 months. I've been patching it, diverting it. But tonight, it won. I couldn't stop the bottleneck. I knew you'd find out." "So you decided to burn the whole company to the ground," Warren said, his voice flat. "Just to cover your tracks. You were going to let me believe Robert Lang did this? You were going to pin it on the disgruntled employee?" Gregory spat, his fear turning to rage. He pointed a shaking finger at Warren. "You demanded 100% growth. You demanded we crush Apex. You don't build an empire ethically. I did what you wanted. I wanted efficiency." Warren roared. "I never told you to be stupid. It's too late." Gregory laughed, a high-pitched, hysterical sound. "It's over. The data deletion protocol. It's encrypted. It's autonomous. My team in Mumbai activated it. It's running on an offshore server. You can't stop it. By the time the sun rises, Coleman Dynamics will be nothing but an empty building. I might be ruined, but so are you." Warren looked at the blank laptop. He looked at his smarter team, Brenda weeping, Tom, Clear's throat, staring at the floor, already calculating severance, Gregory broken and laughing. Clear's throat. He had lost. He turned to Mia. She was standing by the window, looking out over the lights of Manhattan. "M. Sutton," Warren said, his voice. "You were right. I needed someone angry. Lang was angry. Gregory was afraid. But you, Mia, turned." Her face was calm. "You still don't get it, do you?" She walked back to the table. She picked up Gregory's laptop. "Gregory is an amateur. He's a blunt instrument. He thinks a scorched earth protocol is just about deletion. He doesn't understand the art of it." She rebooted the laptop, holding down a specific key. The command prompt appeared. "What? What are you doing?" Gregory stammered. "I told you I studied at the Volkov Institute," Mia said. "We didn't just study protest protocols, we studied how to fight them. A scorched earth code, it's designed to be unstoppable, but it's also loud. It has to consume massive resources to work so fast." She typed a command. "Show active processes sort resource." A list appeared at the top. One process was eating 99% of the system's focus. It was called Mumbai Burn Fow TL1. There you are. Mir smiled. It was not a nice smile. "You can't stop it." Gregory insisted, "I don't have to." Mir said, "Right now, your burn code is fighting Lang's Hydra code there. 2 viruses at war and your company is the battlefield. But they're both distracted. They're not paying attention to the real threat." "Which is?" Warren asked. Mia's fingers blurred. "Me?" She typed another command. "Initiate quarantine key. Echidna." "What's echidna?" Warren asked. "Dr. Vulov's final theory," Mia said, her eyes glued to the screen. "The Clear's throat, mother of all monsters. It's not a protest. It's not a virus. It's a systemic trap. It's a protocol that hunts other protocols. It's designed to find, isolate, and starve any code that acts illogically. Gregory's burn code, Robert Lang's Hydra code, they are both behaving illogically. They are both destroying the primary system and the Echidna protocol. Well, it just woke up and it's very, very hungry. The screen flashed. 2 new lines appeared. Target acquired. Mumbai burn 21. Isolating target acquired. Hydra secure Lang. Isolating it. It stopped, Brenda whispered, looking at her phone. The deletion, the error logs, they've frozen. Gregory Pike stared, his mouth open. You trapped them, both of them. They're not gone, Mayer said. They're in a digital cage. They're firewalled off from the main network, which is now stable, but they're still active. They're still fighting each other inside that cage. So, we're safe? Warren asked, breathing for what felt like the first time in an hour. For now, Mia said, the network is back online. The data is no longer being erased, but you have 2 apex predators in a box in the center of your system. The Hydra is still screaming for justice. The burn code is still trying to destroy everything. The quarantine won't hold forever. You bought yourself maybe 48 hours. Gregory Pike slumped into a chair, a completely broken man. Warren Coleman looked at the waitress. She hadn't just solved the problem. She had solved 2 problems, diagnosed a high-level executive felony, and deployed a theoretical piece of code even he had never heard of, all in under an hour. Ms. Sutton, Warren said, what do you want? The question, what do you want, echoed in the silent, expensive room. It was the question Warren Coleman used to solve everything. It was the question he'd asked politicians, rivals, and mistresses. It always had an answer, a number, a price. Mia Sutton looked at the 3 shattered executives. Gregory, pale and defeated. Brenda, avoiding eye contact. Tom already mentally drafting his resignation. Then she looked at Warren. He was a lion, yes, but he was a lion who had just been pulled from a snare. He was breathing hard. He was bleeding. And he was for the first time truly assessing the person who had saved him. What do I want? Mia repeated. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. A check? Warren said, pulling out his checkbook. $1 million right now for the consultation and a job. Head of IT security, double whatever Gregory was making. Mia laughed. It was a cold, tired sound. A job? You think I want to work for you? You think I want to be him? She gestured to Gregory, scrambling to meet your impossible demands, lying and cheating just to keep his head above water. No, thank you. Everyone wants my money, Miss Sutton, Warren said, confused. I don't, Mayer said. I want to go home. Clears throat. I'm late. My shift ended an hour ago. She walked to the sideboard, picked up her silver water pitcher and a linen cloth. She began to calmly wipe the condensation from the table. Warren was baffled. He was a man of transactions. This was not a transaction. You can't just leave, he stammered. You said we have 48 hours. You're the only one who can fix this. You trapped the monsters. You have to kill them. Your monsters, Mr. Coleman. Not mine, Mia said, not looking up. I'll give you $5 million, he said, his voice rising in desperation. 10. Name a price. Mia finally stopped wiping. She set the picture down with a soft, definitive clink. She turned to face him. Her eyes were not angry. They were something far worse. They were clear. You really don't remember, do you? She asked. Remember what? My father's business. The one that failed. The reason I had to drop out of my PhD program. The reason my father died 6 months later. Of a heart attack from the stress? Warren's face was blank. I don't know your father. No, Mia Clear's throat said. You didn't. He was just a line on one of Gregory's spreadsheets. Redundant local competitor, target for aggressive acquisition. He was a bug you swatted. She took a step closer. My father's name was David Sutton. He owned Sutton Express, a small local courier service in Queens. He'd run it for 30 years. He knew every driver by name. He knew their families. It was ethical. It was slow. It was human. Clear's throat. Warren's blood ran cold. He remembered the name Sutton Express. It was one of 24 small companies they had crushed during the Northeast expansion 3 years ago. Their strategy, which Gregory had championed, was to enter a new market, slash prices below sustainability, drive all the local competition into bankruptcy, and then once they had a monopoly, triple the rates. It was standard. It was brutal. It was Coleman Dynamics. Your price dumping model, Mayer said, her voice shaking for the first time, but with a controlled fury. You drove him into the ground. He took out a second mortgage. He sold my mother's jewelry. He emptied my college fund. He tried to fight you, and you just kept squeezing. She was standing right in front of him now. The man who taught me to ride a bike. The man who sat with me every night while I did my math homework. The man who drove me to MIT himself in his old delivery van because he was so proud. He died alone in his empty office holding a stack of bills from your lawyers. The room was a tomb. You want to know the price of a stolen soul? Mr. Coleman, Mayer whispered, the words dripping with acid. That was the riddle Robert Lang asked you. But he was lucky. You only stole his company. You stole my father. Warren Coleman, the man who had faced down hostile takeovers, federal investigations, and stock market crashes, physically recoiled. He sat down. I didn't know, he whispered. You didn't care, Mayer corrected. To you, he was nothing. To me, he was everything. And you are the man who killed him. Silence. Gregory, Warren said, his voice a ghost. Brenda. Tom, get out. Sir, Gregory asked. Get out. Warren roared, a surge of his old self returning. All of you, you're fired. Get out now. The three executives scrambled out of the room, leaving Warren and Mia alone. You saved my company, Warren said, staring at the polished table. The company that destroyed your father. Yes, Mia said. Why? He asked. Why didn't you just walk out? Why didn't you let Gregory burn it to the ground? It would have been justice. Because Mia said, it wasn't just your company. It was Robert Lang's and it was my father's, and it was all the other little companies you crushed. It was built on their ghosts. And Gregory, he wasn't just burning your ledgers. He was burning the evidence. He was burning their stories. I wasn't saving you, Mr. Coleman. I was saving the proof. She picked up her tray. Now, if you'll excuse me, wait. Warren stood up. He looked old, beaten. You're right. I didn't know. I didn't care. He couldn't say the word sorry. It wasn't in his vocabulary. A check won't fix it, he said. A job won't fix it. You said it yourself. He looked at the woman who had seen through his entire life's work in a single hour. I can't give you your father back, he said, his voice roar, but I can give you justice. What do you want, Mia Sutton? Not as a price, as a restitution. Mia paused at the door. She looked at this broken titan. I want two things, she said. Name them. First, Robert Lang. You're going to fly to Boston tonight. You're going to apologize. You're going to give him Atlas Logistics back, not as part of Coleman Dynamics. You're going to set it up as its own independent company, and you're going to fund it for 10 years. No strings attached. You will give him his soul back. Warren nodded. Done. Second. Mia took a deep breath. You're going to hire me? Warren looked shocked. But you said I don't want to be your head of IT? Mia said I'm not here to fix your code. I'm here to fix you. What? What position? You're going to create a new one. Mia said head of corporate ethics and acquisitions. And my first act, my only act, will be to open an investigation into every acquisition Coleman Dynamics has made in the last 10 years, starting with Sutton Express. And for every company you crushed, every family you optimized, we are going to find a way to pay them back. Not with checks, with restitution. We're going to rebuild them. We're going to spin them off. We are going to undo what you did. Warren stared at her. That would cost billions. It would gut the company. It would destroy our profit margins. It's corporate suicide. It's corporate atonement. Mir corrected. You've got two monsters in a cage in your system, Mr. Coleman. One is Hydra. It's the anger of Robert Lang. The other is Byrne. It's the greed of Gregory Pike. You have 48 hours before they break out. She offered him a choice. Or you give me the echidna key. You make me mother of all monsters. You let me hunt inside your company. You let me find every illogical, inhuman protocol, every Gregory Pike, and you let me starve them. You let me fix it. She stood there, a 20-some waitress in a cheap uniform, holding the fate of his entire legacy in her hand. It's your choice, she said. Atonement or insolvency? What's it going to be? Warren Coleman stood at the precipice. This wasn't a negotiation, it was an unconditional surrender. Everything he had ever built, his entire life's philosophy of growth at all costs, crush or be crushed, was being challenged, held hostage, and systematically dismantled by a waitress. To do what she asked was not just to admit a mistake. It was to admit his entire career, his entire identity had been fundamentally morally wrong. It was unthinkable. But insolvency, that was also unthinkable. To be the titan who fell, to be the lead story on every financial network, the case study in failure for decades to come. His pride would never ever allow it. You're proposing to dismantle my own company from the inside, he said, the words feeling alien in his mouth. He was testing them, seeing if they sounded as insane to her as they did to him. You're talking about gutting decades of work, billions in shareholder value. There are thousands of employees who depend on this company. Your atonement would throw them all into the street. It's corporate suicide. No, Mia said, her voice cutting through his panic. It's corporate chemotherapy. You're right. It will be brutal, it will be painful, and it will cost billions. But the company is already sick, Mr. Coleman. It's dying. Gregory Pike wasn't the disease. He was a symptom. He was the logical endpoint of your growth at all costs. Philosophy. He did exactly what your system trained him to do. She pointed to the dark laptop. A sleeping monster. You're not a logistics company anymore. You're a tech company, and your tech has a soul. It proved that tonight. Robert Lang's Hydra isn't a virus. It's a conscience. It's the rage of the man you wronged, and it's begging you to be better. You can't run a company this way anymore. The system, the world, it's starting to fight back. Warren turned away from her. He paced the length of the private room from the window overlooking the glittering city he owned to the door that represented his only escape. But it wasn't an escape. He was trapped. He ran the options through his mind, his powerful brain grinding, searching for a third way, a loophole, a hidden angle. Call in a new team. No, they wouldn't know Echidna. They wouldn't understand the Hydra. They'd be like Gregory's team trying to kill a feature they couldn't comprehend. They'd make it worse. Break the quarantine. He looked at Mia. Her calm, steady gaze told him she had already anticipated that she'd built the cage. She was the only one with the key. Just let it burn. His stomach clenched. To lose it all, to give Gregory that victory? Never. He was a fighter. He was a lion. And the only way out was to walk through the fire she was offering. He had to trust the person who had every right in the world to destroy him. His pacing stopped. He turned to face her, his shoulders slumped, not in defeat, but in a weary, terrifying acceptance. If I do this, he said, his voice, the surrender, tasting like ash. If I agree, what happens first? Mia's posture didn't change, but he sensed the shift in her. The negotiator was gone. The commander had arrived. First, she said, you get on your jet. You fly to Boston tonight. I'll find Robert Lang. I know the 24-hour coffee shop he used to haunt near the Institute. It's where he did his best work. I'd bet my life he's there right now nursing a cold coffee, watching the network logs and waiting for you. And when I find him, Warren asked. You will apologize, Mia stated, leaving no room for argument. And you will give him my first offer, the return of Atlas. You will spin off Atlas Logistics from Coleman Dynamics, effective immediately. You will transfer all of his original code, his patents, and his team back to him. It will be his own independent company, and you will fund it anonymously for 10 years. No strings attached. Warren's legal and financial mind reeled. Just give him a company, a fully funded competitor. It's not a payment, Mia said. It's a restoration. The Hydra isn't asking for money. It's screaming for justice. This is the only password that will make it stand down. Once Robert's soul is returned, once he is made whole, he will give us the kill code for his protocol. The first monster will go to sleep. Warren nodded slowly. It was a bitter pill, but it was logical. And the second, Gregory's burn code, the one you trapped. That's harder, Mia admitted, her eyes fixed on him. It's not a protest. It's just malice. It's a bomb. It's trapped by my Echidna protocol, but it's still active. Still trying to get out. The quarantine won't hold forever. To kill it, I have to unleash Echidna fully. I have to set the mother of all monsters loose inside your network to hunt it down and destroy it. Then do it, Warren said. I can't, Mir said simply. I don't have the authority. Echidna is a root-level protocol. It's designed to obey only the master architect of the entire system. To unleash it, I need the master key. I need your key, Mr. Coleman. I need your CEO credentials. Full administrative access to everything. This was it. The true surrender. He was being asked to hand over the kingdom to a waitress he'd met an hour ago. A waitress whose family he had personally, if indirectly, destroyed. It was insane. He stared at her. The silence stretching. The hum of the city 50 floors below. The only sound. And what's to stop you, he finally whispered, the question raw and vulnerable. The moment I give you that power, what's to stop you from doing to me what Gregory just tried to do? What's to stop you from taking the keys and just burning it all down for your father? For revenge. You'd be justified. No one would blame you. It would be poetic. Mia Sutton looked at him, and for the first time her iron expression softened. It wasn't with forgiveness. It was with pity. You really think this is about revenge? She asked, her voice quiet. You think I spent the last 3 years of my life wiping tables, cleaning up after men like you, mourning my father, just so I could have one single moment of petty revenge? That's your world, Mr. Coleman. That's not mine. She took a step closer. If I wanted revenge, I would have just let Gregory Pike's burn code finish the job. I would have walked out that door an hour ago and watched the news tomorrow as your empire turned to ash. That would be his kind of revenge. That would be your kind of aggressive acquisition. Revenge is easy. It's just more destruction. She held his gaze, her own clear and unwavering. If I did that, she said, the words landing with the finality of a gavel, I'd be you. That was the blow. That was the one that shattered his last defense. Because in that terrible clarifying moment, he understood. She wasn't here to destroy him. She was here to save him from himself. Wordlessly, Warren Coleman walked to his briefcase. He took out his personal laptop. He set it on the table, opened it, and typed in his master password. His hands, which had signed billion-dollar deals without a tremor, were shaking. He navigated to the master administrative panel. He looked at the button that said, Delegate Full Authority. He looked at me. You will have to guide me, he said. The admission of weakness, the most difficult thing he had ever done. This atonement. I don't know how. I know, Mia said softly. That's why you're not hiring me as head of ethics. You're hiring me as your new chief operations officer, effective immediately. Gregory's replacement. Cool. Warren breathed from waitress to COO in one night. The absurdity was lost in the sheer terrifying necessity of it. You don't have the experience. I have something better. Mia said, I have perspective and I have leverage. I'm the only one who knows how to disarm the Echidna. You need me, and I need this. I need the power to make it right. Warren looked at the screen. He looked at her. He made the final calculation. He could lose his company or he could change. And if there was one thing Warren Coleman was good at, it was winning. This was the only move left on the board. His finger moved. He clicked the button. He typed in her name. Mia Sutton, authority granted. The small green text on the screen sealed the fate of his empire. It's done, he said, his voice hollow. Mia stepped forward. Her entire demeanor shifted. She was no longer the waitress, no longer the grieving daughter. She was the architect. She was the mother of all monsters. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, typing a string of code that Warren, for all his intelligence, couldn't even begin to follow. Deployed. Target Mumbai Burn V-21. Execute. She hit enter. The laptop's fans. A series of high-pitched, almost silent clicks came from the machine. On the screen, a new line of text appeared. Hunting. Target engaged. Target terminated. The burn code was dead. The bomb was disarmed. The frantic, terrified energy that had choked the room for hours simply evaporated. "It's over," Mayer said, closing the laptop. "The system is clean. All that's left is the Hydra. All that's left is your promise to Robert Lang." Warren nodded, feeling a strange, unfamiliar lightness. He picked up his phone. "Get my jet ready. We're flying to Boston tonight." He looked at Mia, a question in his eyes. "We?" "Yes, we." Mia said, "You're going to need a translator. You don't speak idealist, and I have to apologize to an old friend for what was done to him." She reached up and unpinned the simple plastic MIA name tag from her vest. She held it for a moment, looking at the name that was no longer her. Then with a quiet, deliberate motion, she dropped it on the table, where it clattered softly against Warren's cold, untouched plate of foie gras. She walked to the door, then paused, turning back to him one last time. "And Mr. Coleman," she said. "Yes, Miss Sutton. My new office I wanted on the 50th floor with this view." She gestured to the stunning panoramic window. "It will remind me of what happens when men like you forget to look down." Warren Coleman didn't answer. He just picked up his briefcase, walked to the door, and held it open for his new boss. Warren Coleman thought he just needed a smarter executive. What he got was a mirror. Mia Sutton didn't just solve a technical problem, she solved a human one. She proved that you can't build an empire on the ruins of other people's lives and not expect the ghost to come knocking. The Hydra in the system wasn't a bug, it was a consequence. This story is a reminder that the person you underestimate, the person you dismiss, the waitress serving your water, might just be the architect holding the keys to your entire world. True intelligence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one who's actually listening. What did you think of Mia's final decision? Clears throat. Was it justice, or was it just the start of a new kind of war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories where the underestimated finally get their revenge, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to the channel for more real-life drama. We've got a new story coming next week. Don't miss it.